So you love 3D printing. I mean, you've probably made everything from little desk toys to complex miniatures, and now that little voice in your head is asking, hey, could this hobby actually make me some money? Well, we are about to answer that question with a serious financial reality check. We're going to break down what it really takes to turn that passion into a profitable side hustle.
Right off the bat, you've got two very different paths you can take. On one side, you've got the happy hobbyist, right? Total creative freedom, zero stress, just making cool stuff. But on the other side, you have the business owner. And this is a whole different ballgame. You're not printing what you want anymore, you're printing what your customers want. It's a grind, and it's going to take a serious chunk of your time every single week.
Okay, so if you're leaning towards that business path, what's the price of admission? We're talking about your capital expenditure, or CapEx. Think of it as the big, one-time investment you have to make just to open the doors for business.
Now, this is not just about buying one more printer for your desk. If you're serious, you're starting a small print farm. So we're modeling this on 5 reliable printers, and that'll set you back about $3,500. But it doesn't stop there. You need the infrastructure. Heavy-duty racks, safety gear, that's another $300. You need filament to get started, you need boxes and labels to ship, and of course, the licenses and software to be a legit business. It all starts to add up fast.
And boom! Here's the total. You're starting your business almost $5,000 in the hole. Before you've made a single penny in profit, you've got to climb out of this initial financial crater. And that, my friends, is the first major reality check.
All right, enough of the scary numbers. Let's get to the exciting part, the money you can actually make. Let's figure out the potential revenue from our little 5-printer farm. But before we get too carried away, we have to talk about a huge mistake people make, assuming your printers are just going to run 24/7.
Yeah, the dream is 100% utilization. Printers humming along day and night. But the reality is way, way different. You've got to load and unload prints, you've got to do maintenance, and let's be honest, you're not going to have a full order book from day one. A much more realistic and frankly healthy target for your printer uptime is closer to 60%.
And this chart really paints the picture. With 5 printers, you have a theoretical maximum of 3,600 printing hours a month. It sounds amazing, but at our much more realistic 60% utilization rate, what you can actually bill for is closer to 2,100 hours. That's the number that matters for our revenue.
So, what does that mean in actual dollars? Well, based on a pretty conservative market rate of $250 an hour, those billable hours translate into a projected monthly revenue of $5,400. That looks pretty good, right? I mean, that's a solid top-line number.
But hold on, there's an old business saying for a reason. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. That big, impressive number doesn't mean a thing until we subtract all the costs of running the business. So the crucial question really is, where does all that money actually go?
Let's pull back the curtain on the operating expenses, or what's called OPEX. These are the costs that chip away at your revenue, month after month. They're kind of the hidden part of the equation that a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs just forget to factor in.
Now, looking at this breakdown, a few things really jump out. Your biggest expense, by a long shot, is your material cost, the filament. That's over $1,600. Then you have platform fees, from places like Etsy, taking another big slice. Then you've got your packaging, software, and this interesting thing called a failure tax. But look at electricity, it's tiny. People always think it's going to be a huge cost, but it's actually one of your smallest monthly expenses.
So what is this failure tax? Well, it's a simple name for the cost of waste. Because let's be real, not every print is perfect. Some will fail halfway through, some will have little blemishes. This tax is how you account for that lost material and machine time. We're estimating it here at about 10% of your material cost, and believe me, it is a very real business expense.
So when you add it all up, the filament, the fees, the failures, all of it, you're looking at total monthly operating expenses of just over $2,500. This is the big number we have to subtract from our revenue to find out what we really get to keep.
And that brings us to the moment of truth. After we account for that huge initial investment and all these monthly costs, what is the bottom line? What's your actual take-home paycheck from this whole 3D printing adventure?
So, after subtracting our expenses from our revenue, we are left with a net profit of $2,824 a month. You know what? That's a very respectable number for a side business.
But that's not the whole story. The money is one thing, but what about the time you're putting in? To keep this farm running, slicing files, packing boxes, answering customer emails, you're probably spending about 20 hours a week on this. So what's your effective hourly wage?
The math on this is super simple. You just take your monthly net profit and you divide it by the number of hours you work that month. In our case, that's about 80 hours of labor.
And there it is, the real return on your effort. Your effective hourly wage works out to $35.30. That is a really healthy side income for sure, way better than most gig economy jobs. But let's be crystal clear about something. This is not passive income. You are actively working a part-time job as a micro factory manager.
But the story doesn't end there, because once your business is up and running, the real magic happens when you start to optimize your operations and scale your profits. This is how you grow.
Here are 3 concrete ways to boost that bottom line without even buying more printers. First, buy your filament in true bulk. I'm talking pallets, and you could save hundreds a month. Second, build your own website. Get your customers off platforms like Etsy and cut out those big fees. And third, use larger nozzles. This can dramatically increase your print speed, which means you can print more and earn more.
The amazing part is, by making these smart changes, the very same 5-printer farm can go from earning around $2,800 a month to generating over $4,000 in pure profit. That is a huge jump, and it's all through working smarter, not just harder. So we end up right back where we started, looking at these 2 clear paths. You've got the hobbyist, enjoying creative freedom for a pretty modest monthly cost. And then you have the business owner, who makes that big upfront investment to earn a solid monthly profit and build a truly scalable asset for the future.
The numbers are all on the table. The reality of the grind has been laid bare, and the potential for a real, profitable business is absolutely clear. So, the final question is for you, the happy hobbyist or the business owner? Which path will you choose?